What if love is not simply a feeling, but a force? One that can transform pain into strength, fear into courage, wounds into wisdom, and two lives into something greater than either could ever be alone. Love as a transformative force is one of the deepest truths of human existence, for it does not simply comfort us or bring fleeting joy, it redefines the very structure of who we are. To understand this, one must first recognize that love is not confined to sentimental affection or the warmth of companionship. It is something much greater, something that can reconfigure the inner landscape of the soul. When true love touches a person, it awakens hidden dimensions within, calling forth qualities that perhaps had been dormant, waiting for the right resonance to stir them into life. In the presence of such love, courage emerges where there was once hesitation, forgiveness arises where bitterness once lived, and resilience strengthens where fragility once dictated the boundaries of experience. Transformation through love is not an instant illumination. It is a gradual yet undeniable alchemy. It does not simply decorate the surface of our personality with new habits or emotions, but penetrates into the depths, altering how we perceive ourselves and the world. When a person truly loves, they begin to see with new eyes, and in this vision, life itself acquires greater depth. The mundane takes on meaning, the ordinary is infused with significance, and even moments of silence between two people carry a sense of wholeness. This is not because love blinds one to reality, but rather because it allows one to see more fully, to embrace reality with greater openness and without the resistance that fear and ego often build. The transformative quality of love can also be seen in how it challenges the boundaries of the self. Many people live confined within walls of self-protection, shaped by past wounds, disappointments, and fears. True love arrives not to shatter these defenses violently, but to make them unnecessary. It offers a safe space where vulnerability is no longer a threat, but a path to connection. The self, which once felt it had to hide behind armor, gradually expands, learning that openness is not weakness, but strength. This expansion is transformation. It allows the individual to experience life with greater authenticity, to move beyond the mask of survival into the authenticity of being. Love transforms not only through acceptance but also through challenge. It holds up a mirror to our flaws, our insecurities, and our limitations, yet it does so without condemnation. This reflection is often uncomfortable, but it is necessary for growth. When a person feels loved despite their imperfections, they find the courage to face them rather than run from them. The transformative power lies in this paradox, being accepted as one is while simultaneously being inspired to become more. In this way, love becomes both a sanctuary and a catalyst, nurturing and demanding at once, leading one closer to wholeness. True love also awakens creativity within the human spirit. It is not limited to art or music, but to the creative act of becoming more fully alive. A person touched by deep love discovers new ways of expressing themselves, new depths of empathy, and new possibilities for living with meaning. This creativity stems from the fact that love dismantles the walls of isolation, merging one's inner world with that of another. In this shared space, new insights, new feelings, and new capacities for compassion are born. Transformation here is not merely individual, but relational, for when one changes through love, the bond itself becomes richer, deeper, and more enduring. At its core, the transformative power of love is about awakening the potential for unity within oneself and with another. It integrates what is fragmented, heals what is wounded, and elevates what is ordinary. Pain, fear, and doubt may still exist, but they are no longer the rulers of the inner life. Instead, love provides a higher center, a grounding force that gives life coherence and direction. To be transformed by love is to discover a strength that does not dominate others, but liberates oneself from inner chains, allowing the soul to grow into its fullest expression. It is not the transformation of becoming someone else, but the transformation of becoming more truly oneself, yet in deeper harmony with another and with life itself. Pain and fear are among the most universal human experiences, and yet they often remain hidden beneath the surface of our awareness. They are born from the unacknowledged places within us, those aspects of the self that we push away because they seem too heavy, too shameful, or too frightening to confront. But the truth is that these hidden parts never disappear. They linger in the unconscious and rise in moments of vulnerability, shaping our relationships, choices, and emotions in ways we cannot always control. True love, however, has a unique capacity to face these shadows without turning away. It does not demand perfection, nor does it insist that one remain in denial. Instead, it becomes a courageous force that embraces both the light and the darkness, inviting healing through wholeness rather than suppression. When two people meet in genuine love, they do not simply see each other's smiles, dreams, and strengths. They also encounter the unspoken wounds, the scars of past experiences, and the fears that whisper in the quiet of the night. To love truly is to allow space for these realities without judgment. In that acceptance, something profound occurs. The shadow loses its destructive power. What was once a source of shame or fear begins to feel less threatening because it is met with compassion and understanding. Love does not erase the darkness, but it transforms how one relates to it, allowing it to become part of the whole self, rather than a hidden enemy within. The integration of shadow through love requires courage, because it asks both individuals to step beyond illusions and face what they might rather ignore. Many relationships fail not because of a lack of affection, but because of the inability to confront these deeper truths. True love survives precisely because it does not turn away from difficulty. It acknowledges pain as part of the human story and embraces fear as a signal of vulnerability rather than weakness. By doing so, it creates an atmosphere where authenticity thrives, where neither person must wear a mask to be accepted. This authenticity is a rare gift, for it allows each soul to be fully seen, and in being seen, to be freed from the prison of secrecy and denial. The power of love in relation to shadow is also found in its ability to bring balance. Within every person lies contradiction, strength and fragility, courage and hesitation, generosity and selfishness. When one is alone, these contradictions can feel overwhelming or even unbearable, but within the container of love, these opposing forces find harmony. Love teaches that one does not have to choose between being strong or weak, fearless or afraid, good or flawed. Instead, one learns to hold both, to accept the paradoxes of being human. In this way, love is not an escape from the complexity of the psyche, but the very means by which complexity is embraced. This acceptance extends beyond the individual and into the shared space of the relationship. When two people confront their shadows together, they create a bond that is resilient and authentic. Challenges do not destroy them. Instead, they become opportunities for growth. Pain is no longer an obstacle to connection, but a teacher that deepens intimacy. Fear no longer isolates, but draws one closer to the other for strength. In facing the shadow together, both individuals discover not only more about themselves, but also about the depth of love's capacity. To embrace love as a companion of the shadow is to understand that wholeness is greater than perfection. It is not about erasing wounds or eliminating fear, but about integrating them into a life that has meaning, depth, and truth. Where denial brings fragmentation, love brings unity. Where fear silences, love gives voice. Where pain closes the heart, love opens it wider. In this way, love does not destroy the shadow, but transforms it into a source of wisdom, teaching that the deepest connection is born not from hiding what we fear, but from embracing all that we are. Fear has always been a force that shrinks the soul, pulling it away from possibility and back into the confines of survival. It thrives on separation, on convincing the individual that they are alone, vulnerable, and exposed to forces beyond their control. Fear fragments the psyche by narrowing vision, amplifying doubts, and planting seeds of hesitation where action and openness might otherwise flourish. It whispers that safety can only be found in withdrawal, that love is too dangerous, that vulnerability is too costly. And yet, when true love enters, its very nature challenges the foundations of fear. Love unites where fear divides, it reassures where fear unsettles, and it restores trust where fear corrodes. In the presence of genuine love, the grip of fear loosens, not because the dangers of life disappear, but because the soul feels a deep security that no threat can fully undo. The dissolving of fear through love is not an abstract ideal. It is something felt in the body, in the quieting of a restless mind, and in the courage to step forward when everything within once urged retreat. When a person feels genuinely loved, they no longer carry the weight of facing life entirely alone. The connection itself becomes an anchor, offering stability when the storms of uncertainty arise. Fear feeds on isolation, but love builds connection. The simple knowledge that one is held, seen, and valued by another strengthens the heart against the trembling of anxiety. In that union, fear loses its dominance, for it cannot thrive where there is trust and belonging. Fear often takes root in the anticipation of loss, betrayal, or rejection. It convinces the heart that to love fully is to invite disaster. But true love teaches that vulnerability is not destruction, but liberation. It allows one to risk openness because the foundation beneath is steady. Even when difficulties arise, even when imperfections show themselves, love has the capacity to remind the soul that it is still worthy, still cherished, still safe. In this environment, the fear of being abandoned or unseen diminishes. Instead of bracing against possible pain, one learns to lean into connection, discovering that the strength of the bond is greater than the threat of disappointment. There is also a profound way in which love redefines courage. Many people imagine courage as the absence of fear, but in truth, courage is the willingness to move forward despite it. Love provides the fuel for such courage. A person who might once have been paralyzed by insecurity or worry finds within themselves the strength to step into life's challenges when they know they are loved. Love gives meaning to risk, transforming fear from an obstacle into a passage. With love, the individual sees beyond the narrow confines of self-preservation and finds strength in the shared vision of connection and growth. Love shifts perception itself. Fear magnifies threats and diminishes hope, distorting reality through a lens of danger. Love broadens perspective, allowing one to see not only risks but also possibilities. Where fear sees only darkness, love reveals the hidden light. Where fear anticipates failure, love reminds of resilience. This shift in perception is not a denial of reality but an expansion of it, enabling the soul to live in a fuller, more balanced truth. It is in this expanded vision that fear's power dwindles, for it thrives only when the mind is narrow and confined. At its deepest level, the triumph of love over fear comes from the realization that love aligns the soul with something larger than itself. Fear is self-centered, concerned only with survival and protection of the ego. Love moves beyond self, drawing one into communion, trust, and the recognition that life is richer when shared. In this transcendence, the ego loosens its grip, and fear, which clings to self-preservation, begins to dissolve. Love thus becomes not only an antidote to fear, but a higher state of being, one in which the heart beats with courage, openness, and faith in the enduring bond that unites souls beyond the threats of the moment. Love has a mysterious way of healing, not by erasing wounds or pretending they do not exist, but by transforming them into sources of meaning and resilience. Pain is part of every human journey, etched into memory through loss, betrayal, disappointment, or struggle. On its own, pain can harden the heart, closing it off from trust and tenderness. It can make one guarded, suspicious, or numb, leading to a life where survival replaces true living. Yet when true love enters, it approaches these wounds with gentleness, not as something to be fixed quickly, but as something to be honored. Love does not deny the reality of suffering. It holds it, sees it, and in doing so, makes it sacred. Healing begins in that recognition, for the wound is no longer a mark of weakness, but a symbol of endurance and humanity. When one feels loved deeply, the burden of pain no longer feels unbearable. The suffering that once seemed to isolate begins to open a pathway of connection, for love teaches that pain need not be carried alone. A shared presence can turn anguish into intimacy, silence into comfort, and sorrow into a language of the heart. This is not because love erases the hurt, but because it changes the way the hurt is carried. Together, pain becomes lighter, more bearable, infused with the assurance that even in darkness, one is not abandoned. This sense of togetherness allows wounds to breathe rather than fester in secrecy, and in this breathing, they begin to heal. Healing through love also requires a shift in how one perceives suffering itself. Without love, pain often feels meaningless, a cruel disruption with no lesson or purpose. But love reframes suffering as a teacher, as an experience that can deepen compassion, humility, and strength. When a person is loved despite their brokenness, they begin to see that their scars do not define them as unworthy, but as deeply human. The wound becomes a place where tenderness grows, where empathy for others blossoms, and where resilience takes root. In this way, love does not simply patch what is broken, it weaves the brokenness into the larger fabric of life, giving it context and dignity. There is also a healing that occurs through the acceptance love provides. Many wounds are kept alive by shame, the belief that one is too flawed, too damaged, too unworthy of affection. Love challenges this by saying, "Even in your imperfection, you are worthy of care." This acceptance does not encourage complacency. Rather, it creates the safety needed for growth. When someone feels accepted at their most vulnerable, they find the courage to face their pain instead of running from it. Healing then becomes an act of integration rather than avoidance, as the person learns to embrace every part of themselves, even the ones marked by hurt. Love's healing power also extends to the future. Pain often shapes fear, teaching the heart to expect more wounds, to prepare for disappointment, to distrust hope. But love gently interrupts this cycle, offering new experiences that rewrite the story of what is possible. A person who has been hurt may expect abandonment, yet when they are consistently loved, that expectation shifts. Slowly, the nervous anticipation of pain gives way to trust, and the heart begins to open again. This trust is the soil in which healing flowers, for it allows life to move forward unburdened by the chains of old injuries. Ultimately, love heals by reminding the soul of its inherent worth and capacity for renewal. Pain does not disappear, scars do not vanish, but they lose their power to define or limit. Instead, they become woven into a larger narrative of connection, strength, and beauty. The healing that comes through true love is not about forgetting what hurt, but about discovering that even suffering can serve as a doorway into deeper humanity and greater wholeness. In this way, wounds are not merely endured, they are transformed, and the heart learns that it is possible to live not in spite of pain, but through it, with love as its guiding light. True love is not confined to the narrow circle of personal desire, nor is it satisfied with fleeting passion or temporary comfort. It carries within it a transcendent quality, something that reaches beyond the boundaries of the individual self and touches the greater rhythms of existence. When love is authentic, it becomes a bridge between two souls, yet it also opens a doorway to something larger than both. It reminds us that our lives are not solitary, that our purpose is not simply to satisfy individual wants, but to participate in a deeper harmony that unites the human spirit with the eternal. This is why love feels so profound, why it cannot be reduced to mere attraction or convenience, for it awakens within us the sense of being part of something sacred, something that extends beyond the limits of our own small story. When love arises in this higher form, it changes the way two people relate to one another. Instead of being consumed with possession or control, the bond is infused with freedom and reverence. Each soul sees in the other not just a companion for comfort, but a mirror of truth and a partner in growth. The relationship is not built upon the need to escape loneliness, but upon the recognition of shared purpose. This purpose gives the love resilience, for it is no longer fragile, dependent only on changing moods or circumstances. Rather, it is rooted in a sense of destiny, in the belief that the meeting of two souls serves a greater unfolding of life itself. Such love also draws one beyond the ego, which constantly seeks to take, to secure, to own. The ego fears loss and clings tightly, but true love does not suffocate, it breathes. It teaches that giving is as natural as receiving, that sacrifice is not weakness but devotion, that patience is not endurance but faith. In this movement beyond the self, love becomes an act of service, not in the sense of obligation, but as a joyous offering of the heart. To love another in this way is to recognize that their growth, their happiness, and their becoming are as significant as one's own. This shift is a profound transformation, for it reveals that love is not about filling emptiness, but about overflowing abundance. The transcendence of true love also reveals itself in how it connects human beings to the mystery of life itself. In moments of deep love, one senses that existence is not random or meaningless, but woven with intention. The meeting of souls feels guided, as if orchestrated by something larger, and the bond becomes a reminder of the hidden order within the universe. Love points beyond mortality, suggesting that what is real and true in the heart cannot be destroyed by time or distance. This is why genuine love often carries with it a sense of eternity, a feeling that what is shared belongs not only to this life, but to something infinite. In this sense, love becomes a path of spiritual awakening. It is not about retreating from the world, but about engaging with it more deeply, with a heart attuned to compassion, courage, and truth. Two souls joined in true love become stronger together, not for their own benefit alone, but for the ways they can touch the world around them. Their bond radiates, inspiring others, creating ripples of kindness, resilience, and hope. Thus, love's transcendence is not only personal but collective. It becomes a force that uplifts life itself. To experience love in this way is to discover that it is far more than an emotion. It is a principle of existence, a current running through the soul that guides life toward wholeness, unity, and meaning. It is stronger than desire, stronger than fear, stronger even than death, because it is aligned with the very essence of life itself. In true love, one finds not only the joy of union, but the profound realization that love is the bridge between the human and the eternal, the self and the infinite, the individual and the divine. True love is not fragile, nor is it bound by circumstance. It is a force that reshapes the human soul, embracing both the light and the shadow, dissolving fear, and turning wounds into sacred teachers. It carries within it the courage to face life's deepest trials and the tenderness to heal what pain has broken. It is not merely about desire or companionship, but about awakening to something larger than ourselves, something eternal that binds us to meaning and to one another. In its presence, we are transformed, not into something other than who we are, but into the fullest expression of ourselves. This is why true love stands stronger than pain, stronger than fear. It does not escape suffering or deny uncertainty. It transcends them, offering a path toward wholeness, freedom, and unity. Love, when it is real, becomes both the mirror and the bridge, revealing the depths of the soul and guiding us toward the timeless truth that we were never meant to walk this journey alone.